My mentor, Alistair, used to say that every soul is a flickering candle in the dark, just a fragile, beautiful light straining against an eternal wind. My job, the only one I've ever known, is to guide that flicker to its final rest, a place the wind can't reach. He called it the passage. He said it was a sacred duty, the last kindness we can offer to those lost in the space between worlds. He's gone now, vanished 3 months ago without a trace. All he left was his worn leather journal, the faint smell of ozone in his study, and me. He also left a warning about the things that hunt in that same darkness, the things that see those flickering candles not as something to guide, but as something to devour. He called them the shadow collectors. They're the reason for his 7 rules. 7 rules I have to follow to the letter, or I risk losing not just the soul I'm trying to save, but my own. And the problem is, standing here in the cold, listening to the rain lash against the windows of this forgotten house, I think I'm about to break the first one. Alistair wasn't my father, not by blood, but he raised me. He found me when I was just a kid who could see the shimmers, the faint spectral outlines of spirits still tethered to the world. He took me in, explained what I was seeing, and trained me to do what he did. We were psychopomps, a word he'd pulled from some ancient Greek text. It means guides of souls. It always sounded so grand, but the work itself was quiet, intimate, and more often than not, deeply sad. We were the silent shepherds for the dead. But with that quiet work came a constant humming danger: the shadow collectors. Alistair's journal is filled with frantic sketches and notes about them. They're formless, ancient things that exist just on the edge of your perception. They're drawn to the lingering energy of a soul that can't move on, especially souls trapped by regret, fear, or trauma. They feed on that energy, harvesting it until the soul just unravels, fades into nothing. It's the truest kind of annihilation, a death after death. Alistair believed they were the universe's scavengers, a necessary, if terrifying, part of the cosmic cycle, preying on those who fall from the path. Our job is to make sure no one falls. His journal is my only guide now. It lays out the 7 rules for this work, and they aren't suggestions. They're the absolute laws that keep us alive and the souls we help save. As I read his words, I can almost hear his calm, steady voice reciting them. Rule number 1, embrace impermanence. He wrote that you can't save a soul by helping it cling to what it lost. Everything ends. Every life, every building, every memory. Those attachments are the anchors the collectors use to pull them down. Our job is to help them let go of the rope. Rule number 2, surrender ego. This one was critical. The work is never about you. It's not about your power, your success, or some desire to be a hero. The moment you think, I can force this, or I know better, you've already started to fail. Your ego is a foothold for the shadows. You have to become a conduit, not a commander. Rule number 3, align inner and outer purpose. Every soul lived a life that had a purpose, even if they couldn't see it. The goal is to help them find the meaning in their own story, the legacy they left behind. Regret is the sweetest poison to the collectors. A soul at peace with its journey has nothing for them to feast on. Rule number 4, practice presence. Be here now. The shadows thrive on distraction. A mind lost in the past or worried about the future is an open invitation. You have to be completely anchored in the present moment. It's in that stillness you can feel them coming. A subtle drop in temperature, a thickening of the air, a silence that's way too loud. Your presence is a lantern in the gloom. Rule number 5, forgive unconditionally. This is a tough one. You have to guide the soul to forgive. Forgive those who wronged them. Forgive how they died, and hardest of all, forgive themselves. Unforgiveness is like a bleeding wound in the spirit. The collectors can smell it from a universe away. Forgiveness closes the wound and starves the beasts. Rule number 6, root everything in love. This was Alistair's master key. Fear is their food, but love is their poison. Your actions, your words, your very intent must come from a place of pure, unconditional love for the soul you're guiding. Love is the light that shows the way to the passage. It's a shield the shadows can't break, and a fire they daren't touch. And then there's the last, most cryptic one. Rule number 7, embrace suffering as initiation. Pain isn't the end, it's a catalyst. Every hardship, every moment of agony is a lesson. He said not to treat their suffering as a tragedy, but as an initiation they've already passed. By helping them turn that pain into wisdom, the soul rises to a vibration the shadows can't even reach. 7 rules. A lifetime of wisdom. And tonight, faced with the soul of a young soldier, I feel the weight of them all crashing down on me. I found him the usual way, a cold spot on the spiritual spectrum, a persistent echo of extreme trauma. Corporal Thomas Miller died in 1917. His soul, though, never left the fields of France. Or maybe he brought the fields with him. This old farmhouse where his last living relative just died has become his own private hell. The moment I stepped inside, the air got heavy and cold. It was thick with the smell of wet earth, iron, and something acrid like old gunpowder. The astral energy here is so strong it's bleeding into the real world. A fine mist clings to the floor, and I can hear the rhythmic, ghostly thud of artillery echoing through the halls. I found him in the 2nd floor, in what must have been his childhood bedroom. He's kneeling in the middle of the room, but he isn't seeing the faded floral wallpaper. He's in a trench somewhere, caked in mud that isn't there, clutching a rifle made of pure memory. He can't be more than 20. His face is a mask of terror. Around him, just at the edge of my second sight, the shadows are gathering. They're tall and indistinct, like columns of black smoke, but I can see pairs of malevolent red eyes gleaming in the dark. Hungry, patient, red-eyed shadows. Alistair's notes called them the most aggressive kind, drawn to raw fear. They're just waiting, letting him stew in his own despair, feeding on the ambient energy he's pouring out. His soul is trapped in a loop, replaying the last moments of his life. A charge over the top, the scream of a shell, a flash of light. And then, this endless, muddy moment. I can feel his primary anchor. Guilt. He thinks he let his friends down. He thinks he was a coward. "Corporal Miller?" I say softly, trying to project calm. "Thomas? My name is Elias. I'm here to help." No response. His eyes are wide, staring right through the wall at a memory of barbed wire and a broken horizon. The ghostly artillery gets louder. The shadows seem to lean in, growing a fraction darker. Alistair would know what to do. He'd be a sea of tranquility in this storm. But I'm not Alistair. My palms are sweating. The fear radiating off the soldier is so thick I can taste it, and it's making my own heart hammer in my chest. Rule 4. Practice presence. I take a deep breath, trying to anchor myself. The floorboards are solid. The rain is real. The shadows are also very, very real. Thomas, I try again, taking one slow step closer. The war is over. You're safe. You don't have to be here anymore. My words are like pebbles in a raging river. They vanish without a ripple. He's just too deep inside his own head. The guilt is a fortress, and the collectors know it. They're circling now like sharks that smell blood. Time is running out. There's a point of no return where a soul's light gets so dim it can't find the passage anymore. Thomas is getting dangerously close. This is where I start to make my mistake. Panic begins to creep in, this desperate need to prove I can do this on my own, that Alistair's life's work wasn't wasted on me. Rule 2. Surrender ego. The warning flashes in my mind, but I shove it aside. I have to do something. Thomas, you have to let go of the rifle, I say, my voice firmer, more insistent. I'm trying to brute force my way through his trauma. It's not real. The battle is over. Look at me. I take another step. This time, he reacts. His head snaps toward me, but he doesn't see me. He sees an enemy. He scrambles back, clutching the phantom rifle to his chest. No, I can't. They're still out there. I have to protect them. His fear spikes, and it's like a dinner bell. The red-eyed shadows surge forward, their forms becoming clearer. They look like tall, skeletal men in long coats, their outlines wavering like heat haze. The temperature in the room plummets. I can see my own breath. This is my fault. My ego, my need to control the situation, just made everything worse. I broke Rule 2. By trying to force him, I only confirmed his fears and fed his trauma. And in doing so, I fed the collectors. They aren't just waiting anymore. They're starting the harvest. I can see faint, shimmering tendrils of darkness reaching out from them, latching onto the soldier's spirit. He winces, a ghostly tremor running through him as they begin to siphon his energy. Desperation claws at me. I feel like I'm not just failing him, but failing Alistair. I have to fix this. I decide to double down. Rule 1. Embrace impermanence. I'll tackle his guilt head on. They're gone, Thomas, I say, my voice rising with urgent panic. Your friends, they've passed on. They're at peace. There's no one left to protect. You have to accept it. It's the worst possible thing I could have said. It's the truth, but it's a truth his soul isn't ready for. It's like telling a drowning man to just accept the water. The words hit him like a physical blow. A choked sob escapes his lips and his form flickers violently. No, not gone. I could have saved them. It's my fault. The guilt intensifies 100-fold, a raw, gaping wound. And the collectors lunge. This is it, the feeding frenzy. The shadow tendrils swarm over him like insects. His light, that faint candle flicker, begins to dim with terrifying speed. The room grows so dark it feels like the walls themselves are closing in. Those red eyes burn with the triumphant, hellish light. I can feel his very essence being pulled apart and devoured. I failed. In my arrogance, I've just served this terrified young man to the monsters on a silver platter. In that moment of pure despair, as the shadows feasted and Thomas's light guttered, Alistair's voice finally cut through my panic. It's never about you, Elias. Rule 2. Surrender ego. It hits me like a slap in the face. I've been trying to be the hero, but my job isn't to be a hero. It's to be a guide, a psychopomp. I can't pull him out of the river. I can only show him the way to the shore. I squeeze my eyes shut, forcing out the sight of the feeding shadows. I take one deep, grounding breath. Rule 4. Practice presence. I am here, in this room. The shadows are here. The soul of Thomas Miller is here. I am a part of this moment, not its master. My panic finally recedes, replaced by a profound, aching calm. I let go of my fear, my desire to succeed, my need to prove myself. I just surrender. And then I open my heart. I let go of the pity I felt and let myself feel true compassion for him, for the boy who went to war and never came home. Rule 6. Root everything in love. I don't use it like a weapon. I don't push it at the shadows. I just let it fill me. A warm, golden light blooming in my chest, a stark contrast to the devouring cold. I let it expand, passively, creating a space of warmth and safety around me. The effect is immediate. The red-eyed shadows recoil as if they've been burned. The tendrils attached to Thomas wither and snap away. They hiss, a sound like scraping stone and dry leaves, a chorus of pure hatred for the light. They retreat to the corners, their red eyes blinking, confused and enraged. They can't feed in the presence of this energy. Now for Thomas. His light is perilously faint, but it's stable. He's no longer being consumed. I kneel, not as a commander, but as a friend. I don't try to pull him out of his trench. I get in it with him. I'm sorry, Thomas, I whisper, and I mean it. An apology for my failure, for my arrogance. It's an act of forgiveness for myself. Rule 5. Forgive unconditionally. I'm so sorry, it must be so frightening. I don't tell him the war is over. I join him in his reality. You did everything you could, I say, my voice soft with the love I'm channeling. You were brave. You stood your ground. The fear you feel, that isn't cowardice, Thomas. That's the price of courage. You can't be brave unless you're scared first. Rule 3. Align inner and outer purpose. I'm not erasing his past. I'm reframing it. He looks at me, and this time, he really sees me. His spectral eyes are filled with a century of unshed tears. But they didn't make it. No, I say gently. They didn't. And that is a terrible sorrow. You have carried that sorrow for them for so long. You have stood watch over their memory. Now for the last rule. Rule 7. Embrace suffering as initiation. That pain you feel, I continue, meeting his gaze. That guilt and that fear. It wasn't a punishment. It was an initiation. It forged you. You have carried a pain that would have broken 1,000 other souls. You've proven how strong your heart is. Now it's time to accept the lesson that pain taught you. That life is precious, and that your love for your friends is the most real thing in this universe. That love is your legacy. I hold out my hand, not to pull, but to offer a choice. Their journey is over, Thomas. They're waiting for you. Not here in this trench, but in the light. Your initiation is complete. It's time to go home. For a long moment, he just looks at my hand. The shadows hiss and writhe in the corners. unable to get near the sanctuary we've built. Finally, with a shudder that seems to rattle the house itself, Thomas Miller lets the phantom rifle fade from his grasp. The mud of the trenches dissolves. He is just a young man in a simple uniform again. He reaches out and takes my hand. His touch is cool, like fog, but firm. As we connect, a brilliant, warm light begins to dawn behind him, cutting through the gloom. The passage, an open door. From within the light, I can see faint, smiling figures, his comrades, waiting. He looks at them, and a century of pain melts from his face, replaced by a look of pure peace. He turns to me one last time, his eyes clear. "Thank you," he whispers. Then he lets go and walks into the light. The door closes, and the room returns to normal. The cold is gone. The smell of gunpowder is gone. The shadows are gone. There is only the quiet and the gentle sound of the rain. I stand alone in the silent room, the warmth of the passage slowly fading. I don't feel triumphant. I feel humbled. I came so close to destroying a soul because of my own pride. Alistair's rules weren't just a checklist. They were a path to humility. A constant reminder that this work is a service, not a conquest. The victory feels somber. I saved him, but the memory of those red eyes, of the shadows feasting on his despair, will stick with me forever. It's a brutal reminder of the stakes. This is my life now. A solitary watch on the edge of darkness, armed with an old journal and 7 sacred rules. There will be other souls, other candles flickering in the dark, and the shadow collectors will always be waiting. I know now I can't fight them. I can only try to be a lighthouse, one soul at a time, and hope my beam is strong enough to guide them home. The road ahead is long, and I'm completely alone. But the work has to be done.